Welcome back, everyone, to Tribe Talk. We are actually day two of what could be termed as the perfect lull before the 10 game week stretch storm that will hit us starting 20th November. I think which will be game week 12 as well. We have a new member from the tribe making his debut straight from Norway. Karan, how are you doing?
Hi guys, happy to be here. As you said, lull this week, so always good to talk some football since we have nothing to watch this weekend. Not a big fan of the international fixtures, so can focus on the Premier League that's coming up in 2 weeks.
Right, perfect. As always, I'm also joined by my partner in crime, Bhavin. All good, Bhavin? How's it going?
Going good, Anuj. Just waiting for, as you said, this break to get over. Trying to catch some Formula One action in between, which has been really interesting this year. But really look forward to the next 10, 12 weeks, which really makes it the most fun part of the season for FPL players.
Absolutely. I think 10 matches, 10 game weeks in 40 days can make or break the season for the teams as well as for us managers as well, right? So today's special is actually dedicated to identifying the differentials across three categories. We won't be touching upon the goalkeeper category. We'll touch upon the rest of the three: defenders, midfielders, and the forwards. Now, to be honest, differential for me doesn't have any one definition. For some, it's going heavy on one team, which we have already seen. For some, it's the ownership criteria. It should be less than 10%, less than 15%, less than 5%. For some, it's purely on form of players. They can be differential on players who are just on form, and for some, it could be just on the criteria of fixtures, right? So in our case, Bhavin, yesterday I think you devised one such criteria for our episode today. Why don't you take us through that?
Sure, thanks, Anuj. So basically, what we are doing is trying to pick a little bit of a combination of how teams are looking fixture-wise and put that in the context of what their form has been. So basically, if you look at both together, we are trying to balance the fixture run as well as their attacking or defending stats and consider them together in a joint manner. That's the idea that we are really trying to come up with. So basically, if you see the screen for defenders, what we are basically combining is the rank of the next 6 fixtures as per the ticker. The ticker that we use is the Fantasy Football Scout ticker. And we are clubbing that with the rank of the defense. So we are ranking also the 20 teams based on the expected goals conceded throughout the season. And we are trying to combine the two ranks, add them together so that we have an equal representation of both the attractiveness of the fixture and to put some factor in for the form as well. So, for example, if you see Tottenham, even though they may have the best fixtures as per the ticker, in defense terms, they are the 13th ranked, best 13th ranked team. So we are trying to combine the two together so that we balance the ranking in a kind of more moderated manner. And subconsciously, we also tend to do that while picking our squad. So, for example, even if you saw Burnley at the top of the ticker, you wouldn't necessarily pick 2 Burnley attackers, or if Wolves were at the top of the ticker, you wouldn't necessarily pick 2 Wolves defenders. So that's why we are trying to look at this blended rank, and teams that score low on these combined parameters are basically the teams that we are looking to target, both from a defense and an offense perspective. So that's really how we have gone about ranking.
Okay, so the sticker rank is for the next 6 game weeks, and just to clarify, this expected goal conceded rank is for the season.
For the season, so, that's right.
Yeah, so now we can see the rankings, and there are 4 teams which have been bolded and underlined: Tottenham, Newcastle, Norwich, and Aston Villa because of change in managers. So just to our viewers and listeners, to our viewers mostly. All right, we'll get into the defenders. So obviously, this is outside of the Trents and the Chelsea wingbacks and the City defense. We are looking at. So there are 4 columns here. One, obviously, the one to look at is minutes per expected goal involvement for each of these players. ownership as well as the price, because I think all these put together will definitely form some sort of a formula for any FPL manager to go for a differential. Karan, you want to pick up any name here which you think is you're looking at?
I'm always a fan of Lamptey. He's been out
Right.
for a while. I think maybe the minutes per XGI may be slightly different because he's been in and out of injury. He's not a very stable player. You're going to have runs where he may not have clean sheets, 1-pointers. He does tend to get a lot of yellow cards. But based on the eye test, he tends to love to bomb forward. And he's the kind of player for the price of 4.4 can sort of nick you a couple of assists. So in terms of the eye test, I think Lamptey is maybe a little bit risky, but a good pick. In terms of numbers, I think Richie's numbers have been quite good recently in terms of his crosses and getting forward. But again, the team is being quite terrible, so you know what you're getting with that. But for me, the standout right now, slightly risky, low owned as we can see, is probably Lamptey.
Yeah, actually, Lamptey, I think he's just played around 200 odd minutes, and I think his penalty touches are more than most of the defenders, in most of the wing backs. I'm not talking about the Trents and the Reece James of the world, but he's in the tier 2 wing backs. He's already up there, even in 230 minutes that he has played. For the last game week, he had the lowest minutes, as in he was best for the minutes per touches in the penalty area. I think he was third or the fourth best for the crosses in the crosses into the penalty. So he has he is back, as Karan rightly said. I think he definitely gets a lot of yellow cards. I think that's primarily his nature of I think his very attacking nature.
He's always having to track back, and therefore
exactly,
gets his yellow cards because he bombs so much forward, then he's after running back. But anyway, I think it's worth the risk at the price at 4.4.
Yes, and 0.6 ownership. 0.6 ownership, and Brighton defense has been absolutely, it's in top 7, top 8 in terms of the XGC. I'll go to you spoke about Richie. I'll go to Mankio. He didn't play the last game. I'm not sure why. I think he was injured, but it doesn't show on the fantasy app. But he has already scored a goal and 2 assists before that. I think his ownership is the highest among all these. The second highest amongst all these 7 people is because of the fact that he was the buffer defender, as in he was the fodder bench filler. But he has given decent amount of returns for his price. I am not sure under Eddie Howe whether he's going to start or not. But for a defense which is the worst till date in this season, giving an assist or giving 2 assists and a goal is something which is he might get better at under Eddie Howe. And we all know how Eddie Howe loves to play. Again, similar to Conte, his wingers are right up there. So let's see. We'll have to take a look at that. But 9.1% already, I think, is not because of his. I don't think it's because of his stats. It's because of he was the bench filler as well. Any Spurs defenders you guys are looking at, especially Conte coming back?
I think based on the fixtures, you may have to look at 1 or 2 just because their fixtures are so good. And he seems to be focusing on tightening up the back before looking at the attacking prospects. So, Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, that's 4 beautiful blue fixtures right there. So I think one Spurs fixture, mainly for clean sheet potential, is probably worth a punt.
No, absolutely. And amongst these, which did you kind of watch the Everton game or?
No, I didn't see the Everton game, but I think Reguilon is one that's picked by quite a few. But I think there is more value in Emerson Royale, the 4.5, 4.6 defenders, because again, I'm not sure. I know Reguilon had, I think, the highest number of crosses at 12 for the last 2 weeks. So they are looking to play from the back. But for 5 million, I just think there's better value to be had at slightly cheaper Spurs defenders right now.
Correct. I think amongst the Spurs defenders, the others. So on Emerson Royale, obviously he's like a proper differential 0.3, and in the last game against Everton, he had a clear chance. So did Reguilon. Though I think Reguilon is known to not be a good finisher, but I'm sure under Conte, players do improve a lot. He's that kind of a manager. And Karan, you being a Chelsea fan, you obviously have seen how players have really improved under him. So I'm sure Reguilon will improve. But at 5, I think other defenders for Spurs are at. I'm sure Eric Dyer is at 4.5, and I think I'm not sure Tangeranga is how much is he going to play. He's at 4.3.
I don't think he plays anymore.
Yeah,
he used to get some minutes, but I don't think he's played the last 5-6 games.
Yeah, he started well under Nuno, but I doubt he's gonna start. So my eye is definitely on Emerson Royal, not just because he's a 0.3%, but I think the positioning he was taking against Everton, which I think Everton has a good defense. They were set up very nicely last game week, primarily because of the fact that they had been leaking goals in the prior games, and I think Benitez also wanted kind of a point, if not 3, from that game. And I think the biggest takeaway is, as Karan, you mentioned, that I think Conte's impact would be seen more, firstly, on the defense rather than on the attacking front. Attacking, anyways, it's a no-brainer who all are there. But I think when people have Trent, people have Cancelo and the Reece James and the Chilwells of the world, but with Livramento as well, there's definitely some space for the likes of Emerson Royal and playing for Conte. Just the fact that they're gonna be playing for Conte really kind of rings a bell with me.
And Livramento is injured now. Maybe at least he's pulled out of international duty, so there could be some people making that sideways move. Although unlikely, because you lose a lot of value. I'm sure everyone got him at 4 million. I think he's 4.5 right now. But I read that he is potentially injured.
And Southampton's next 6 fixtures, obviously the ranking is at 12, so they do play, I think, a couple of top 6 teams as well. So Livramento, people might be kind of benching him. If obviously he's been a big question mark for people who have been benching him, and a fortunate thing for people who have not been benching him. Mitchell, Crystal Palace, the second best defense in terms of XGC in the season. 4.5. Crystal Palace has only lost 2 games. Are you looking at him, Bhavin? What about you? You're looking at Crystal Palace?
I think they're a good shout, Anuj. In fact, if you look at their fixtures, even from game week 12 to a longer period like game week 2021, both in terms good thing is, despite tough fixture run, in terms of defensive stats, Palace have done fairly well. So I think in terms of defenders to target, I think it'll either be Mitchell or the goalkeeper, Guaita, who's also a great option at 4.5. Either of the two can make a good case for selection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing was on the Spurs defenders, completely agree with your view on Conte going defense first and both the fullbacks moving forward. It's a little bit of a toss-up. Reguilon looked more attacking, but also got subbed. He played dirty there.
I think he's stuck.
Yeah, I think we lost him. Now I was just even thinking back to the days of Victor Moses and what Conte does with his wing backs. They don't necessarily get the attacking returns, but they sort of. I think Bhavin is back. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Anuj. So I was saying, in terms of Spurs, of course, the first issue between picking which wing back to go for, I think Emerson played the full 90. Doherty replaced Reguilon, probably because he was on a yellow. But the fact that he made the replacement tends to tell you that Reguilon is not nailed and he can play Doherty on the opposite flank. The other thing was between the 3 centre-backs. Typically, the feature was that Dyer was kind of being held back, and the other 2 centre-backs were overlapping, taking turns and overlapping. So If you look at passing stats and attempted passes in the attacking half, Davies had pretty strong stats. So he's, I think, 4.5, 4.6, if I remember correctly. So for those who can't afford the 5 million defender, he's probably an equally good shout in terms of the Spurs backline. So for me, I think the standout options would be one of the Spurs wingbacks or Davies if I don't have the money. And I would say if I can't get either of them in, and if I'm forced to spend more money on attack, I would really love to have a fifth defender, because Livramento now rightfully has earned the status of being the fourth defender. Now he's also gone up in price. So probably somebody like a Johnson or a cheap defender would also be an equally strong option to consider.
No, yeah, actually, the last name we want to discuss was Johnson from West Ham. The West Ham, to be honest, hasn't really, been going all gung-ho on the clean sheet front. But even if you see the XGC rank is 7th, yes, they do concede goals. They do have a habit of conceding goals, not in a big way, but they do concede. I think clean sheets haven't really come by. Cresswell. That's why Cresswell is not really ringing the charts in terms of points. But Johnson at 4, with a, I think he's always scored a goal. I think last game week he scored a goal or an assist. With the price of 4, and he looks to be nailed in the West Ham team, which is on the verge of doing something special. Looks like in the first third of the season. I think he looks a strong lad, and he doesn't bomb that much forward, but yes, he is a little bit on the attacking front as well. A good shout out, Karan.
I think it's a good enabler now. A lot of people are going to want to get in Son with Spurs good fixtures coming up. So to have a 4 million defender that plays, I think is definitely always worthwhile. So even if you're downgrading someone from 5 to 5 or 5.5 to 4, just to get those extra funds, to get the likes of a Son or even upgrade to Kane, for example, and a team that is looking at, form over fixtures, definitely Johnson, I would say, is a good shout out.
Right. So Mitchell.
Just one thing before we.
Yeah.
Sorry, Anuj, I was saying just one thing before we switch. I think what the Johnson option also does is makes you play Livramento more often. We've all seen a lot of points on the bench that he's gotten. So that gives you a kind of option to release Livramento. And the second thing that I was seeing in terms of differentials is the other template defenders, if you see. So, for example, most top 10K defenses, if you look out, you will have Trent by default, you will have Cancelo by default, you will have one of the Chelsea fullbacks, and you will have Livramento. If anybody has played their wildcard, these 4 would be, to some extent, kind of regular fixtures or ever present. The stark difference in ownership is what stands out between the top 10K and the general overall ownership. So if you look at the combined ownership of Cancelo, Trent, Livramento, and your Chelsea fullback of choice, so you can go either James or Chilwell, their combined ownership in the top 10K is 60%. And if you look at their combined ownership, these 4 defenders, the same combination in the overall game, their combined ownership is 2.5%. So I think the fact remains is these 4 defenders have really created a huge swing or variance. I think variance is the key word that we've used across this season particularly. So if you really look at the difference between a 10K or a 1 million rank, a lot of that difference has come from getting the right defenders. And the other thing is, of course, captaincy. With anybody who's not captain, Salah has also taken a big hit in terms of ranks. So the other thing also to look at is, if you are behind and if you really don't have any of these 4 template strong defenses, it may not be a bad idea to even take a hit or 2 and fix this. So, for example, since my wildcard in Game Week 7, out of the 4 weeks, I have made 2 defender transfers. But I would still suggest that if any of these no-brainer picks are not there, they're worth getting in.
No, absolutely. One last word before we switch to midfielders is also that Now, I think for the last 3-4 game weeks since Lukaku's injury, we haven't been. I think most of us haven't been playing with the premium striker. Vardy. Obviously, Vardy was there, but most of us have been playing with the 7 or 8 million or a 5 million striker, or a combination of these three. Now with Kane's fixtures coming good, Ronaldo's fixtures coming good, maybe from 15 or 16, Lukaku might be back, maybe before Christmas. So your spending on the premium forward will be higher. So these are the defenders you might want to kind of look at, and 10 game weeks in 40 days, you need to have a proper playing bench as well. So no more. Yes, everybody has Brownhills of the world, but you need to have a proper bench now who can at least give you points, proper points. All right. So one last name I would just want to kind of discuss was Matthew Lowton from Burnley. Burnley has been in a good situation in the last 2-3 game weeks, primarily because of their attacking returns, which is surprising. They usually start late, and they did the same this game week as well, this season as well. Lowton has given, I think, 3 returns, if I'm not wrong. Minutes per XGI is, I think, amongst he's still number 4th in this list. If I add him in this list, 4.4 ownership, 1.7. Burnley's fixtures are number 4, and I think Sean Dyche has now started getting to move on in this season. He always starts late. With the fixtures that they have upcoming, you can see Crystal Palace home. Yes, it's Crystal Palace. They are also in a good way. Tottenham and West Ham are the 2 in the next 6. So Wolves, Newcastle, Watford, and this guy is again a wing back. So a good shout out if for people who want to get into Lowton and Burnley, who are known to be on an average across the season, they're known to be good defensively. So I expect Burnley to have the defensive numbers to get better from here on. All right, let's get on with our attacking assets. So this is the criteria for how we have picked up the team. Bhavin, all yours.
Thanks, Anuj. So in terms of ranking teams and picking the ones to target, we've used the same approach. We've used the ticker rank, and as a measure of the effect, the form of the attacking team, we've used the rank of the expected goals that they are expected to score over the season. Again, we've looked at the whole season. So we've really looked at combined ranks, combined scores again, and the attacks to look at that we'll be covering players from include teams like Brentford, Tottenham, City, Liverpool, Palace, Burnley. Burnley, of course, are a typical 1-0 side, but still a couple of attackers come to mind. And of course, a strong mention to Chelsea, who may have the injury woes behind them, and a lot of attackers will be coming back into the 11. And Manchester United, who tend to, from the next, after you look at the next 2-3 game weeks, their fixtures also tend to ease up a lot. So what we've looked to do, while it's very easy to look at defenders who you can pick and get minutes from, for attackers, there is also a concept of rotation that tends to come in, especially for teams like City, etc. So when we are looking at our shortlist, what we did was basically go team-wise and look at the top attackers in the team. So trying to pick the talismans or the top people to go to in the attacking sense. And we've also applied a filter of their ownership being low, which is obviously where the impact comes in and where they become differentials. And the added filter of them having played at least 450 minutes. So basically, we are 11 game weeks into the season. As a measure, we would want to see people who are consistently playing at least half of the games, even though there is some sort of rotation, injury, etc. coming in. So what we've done is looked at a filter of any attacker who's played a minimum of 450 minutes to be eligible in our watch list. So that's really the way we've gone about picking players.
All right. We'll get on to the midfielders. Okay. So like I mentioned in the beginning, differential can mean differently to people. People can go big on a particular team. They can have 3 attackers from a team. They can have 3 defensive assets from a team. And the names which are here, the reason I'm saying is because Mane's name is right up there. I'm still kind of can't believe the ownership that he has. It's just 3.9. 71% of us have Salah. I had KDB for 3-4 weeks, so I booted him out last game week. Liverpool's fixtures are not looking that bad going forward. Is there a case for Mane, Karan? Are you by any, because he is his minutes per XGI 118. I think he's the second best after Salah. Still 6 goals, 0 assists. So that's a big zero there. Any case for him?
I think it's a tough sell given his price and given that there are so many midfielders really delivering now. I mean, Diego Jota is delivering. Zaha's fixtures are improving right now. Foden's had a good run. And Salah is just in the form of his life. So I think he's sort of taking up all the points scored. It is definitely a good differential if he gets a big haul. Liverpool have the ability of winning 5-0 with Mane scoring 2. I just feel at 11.9, it's quite a hefty price to pay for Mane right now, given the way Salah's playing, and just given that there are so many better options in midfield at mid-price midfielders. So it's a tough sell.
So does that mean that you will never also go for, not never, but you will not look at KDB as well in this season?
I would definitely, and then if the option is there, I'd rather have KDB and have a City asset rather than having Mane and Salah. If the double up is there for Liverpool and there is a case for that, I think it's Salah and Jota makes a lot more sense. With Firmino injured right now, Jota is going to get more minutes. So I think a lot of people still do have that double up. So if there is a case for that, I would go for Salah and Diego Jota.
And then obviously I think Jan they are off for the AFCON as well. So anyways, both of them will be off. So
a strength in the case of Diego Jota again. When they both go, I think he's going to be a must-have then.
Exactly.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the fixtures, AFCON starts on 9th of Jan. And you would expect teams to be there at least a week, 10 days prior. So you're really looking at Boxing Day being the last fixture for most of the AFCON players. And it's the big question really is how long Firmino is out for. I mean, the sense that we are getting from reports is it's anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. So if you really look at 4 to 6 weeks,
I think it's going to miss four game weeks for sure.
Yeah, so if you really look at it that way, Jota is a nailed starter for the next 4, and then maybe a rotation risk for the next 2, and then again he becomes a nailed attacker. So, it could be a period where for a prolonged kind of stretch, you will see a lot of value out of Jota. And that's the reason why Mane's appeal tends to go down, because he's really Jota plus 4.5 or 4.4 million. So that really makes it tough to justify. I think the other names that really stand out for me personally when I made this table was MU, because if you look at the microspace that is FPL Twitter, you would tend to think his ownership is 50-60%. But in effect, actually, I was surprised to see his ownership is as low as 4.5%.
Exactly.
And mind you, his minutes per XGI, even if you include penalty, and we've included penalty, which tends to favor Tony. Even if you include penalties, his minutes per XGI is higher than Tony, and Tony is a 23% owned asset. So I really think Mbeumo makes a case for inclusion, and he could really help you move up the ranks. Zaha is another interesting one. A lot of people have gone for the form pick in Gallagher. He's of course cheaper, and his ownership has gone up really high in the last 2 weeks.
I think it just touched 15%. Yeah.
Just touched 15%. Yeah, and Zaha is. In all fairness, still for Palace, the talisman in that sense. He's at half the ownership. And in terms of minutes per XGI, both are fairly similar. I think Gallagher is somewhere 170 and Zaha is 172. So not much to choose of between the two in terms of stats. So Zaha could be another one which could help you rise.
I think what I've seen, what I've read in Crystal Palace forums is that once Eze comes back, once he's back completely and he starts playing 90 minutes, Gallagher might kind of start playing a little deeper. And I think that's what I've been hearing from different podcasts and different people who follow Crystal Palace. But I think he has started now playing a few minutes. I think he played last game week as well. That's the only concern. But yes, he's been on fire for Crystal Palace. I have to get in a Crystal Palace asset. I don't have him. I don't have either of them. But Zaha at 7, and he's at, I think Gallagher's at 5.8.
Yeah.
It still looks. I'm still inclined towards Zaha just because of the penalties, and I feel he's a bit different this season just because of Vieira. And I think Bhavin, we discussed it last game week as well. I think the man management of Vieira for Zaha, I think is showing to some extent. Still at 7.4%. Who's a penalty taker? So looks like Zaha for me. It depends on the structure as well, midfield structure.
Yeah,
Karan, for you?
I think Zaha is definitely the more explosive option compared to Gallagher. But I was sort of making this decision last week who to get between Trossard, Zaha, and Gallagher. And the way he's been playing, if you see his heat map recently, is sort of playing primarily on the wing. In seasons past, he was the main hitman. He would always come in, into the box, make runs into the box. But Vieira is relying a lot on his strikers, and Benteke is getting a lot of the ball risen from the dead over there, as well as the other striker who he likes to play as well. So Zaha is playing more as a winger than an inside forward, which for me dents his appeal slightly. But the fact that he has penalties, I think, is a big point. But he is definitely more explosive. It's just whether he's getting the ball in the right places in this new structure.
Right. Rashford, Bhavin, since you're the Manu guy, Rashford, I think he's started 3 games or 2 games. He has looked lively. I think he gave returns in all his games that he has played.
He's looked good. He's looked good.
Yeah.
I think the good thing with Rashford is whether we play 4 at the back or 3 at the back, in both formations there's a spot for him. That tends to help because with Cavani again out injured, I think the 3-5-2 if we play will mean Rashford and Ronaldo playing up front. So I think he's probably in terms of minutes more assured. The big problem, of course, is in terms of the immediate fixture. So you would really want to wait a couple of games and then draft a United player in. But it's very rare to see a United player with the fan base and the ownership that most assets tend to have. It's rare to see a United attacker having such low ownership. So that's one to monitor. If he remains around these ranks, would be a great explosive option to look at. The other player, which is one I really wanted to talk about, is a certain City midfielder. And I know you're coming to Silva in a bit. But if you really look at minutes per XGI, the top City midfielder, of course, is Mahrez, who doesn't play enough. The second ranked player in terms of minutes per XGI is Gundogan. And I think there is a strong case for considering Gundogan. He's only 2% owned. His minutes per XGI is around 120, 125. And there is not a large variance in terms of the City attackers. So if you look at their stats between Gundogan, who's at 125 minutes per XGI, to Jesus, who is, I think, 185 minutes per XGI, all the players tend to fit in that tight band. Sterling, of course, has been dropping off for the season, and he's not part of the consideration. And the other thing that really comes to mind is KDB's form and minutes. So if KDB tends to not play consistently, it really increases the appeal for Gundogan. We saw last season as well, whenever KDB was not playing, it was basically Rodri, Bernardo Silva and Gundogan making all the runs and kind of getting into the box. So I think in terms of, if you're looking at a City attacker, and if at any time we get a sense that KDB is kind of going to not get enough minutes, I think Gundogan could be a great option. And Pep relied on Gundogan a lot last season when KDB was injured. So in terms of minutes also, even though you're getting into the festive season, you can take that plunge on Gundogan and expect him to play a lot of minutes.
He's what, 7.2, 7.1?
He's 7.2 and 2%.
Yeah. He was a must-have last season, I remember. You could not have him.
Yeah.
He went on the run, I think, 8 goals in 10 games or something like that during the Christmas period.
He won so many seasons. Yeah,
he did.
He
really
the season for many. Yeah.
He has the ability. I think you're right. He could be a really dark horse that you could pick early before people get on him. And he plays. You are avoiding Pep Roulette. I think that's the biggest challenge in City assets.
I think the what has happened this season is that he's been injured. So that's the reason he hasn't regularly played. But yeah, as in looking at, I don't know when is Torres going to come back.
That's true.
So you got to look at that. Foden is also might be rested somewhere. So I think, but it's a good call, a good shout as well on Gundogan, considering, and I think whatever he's played, he's in both the games he scored 2 goals. So returns are there when Gundogan starts or he plays. That's true. Trossard, anybody, because he has started before, as in he has been playing the false 9 role. Mope has been benched for the last 2 game weeks. I'm not looking at him. Anybody who's keen on looking at Trossard? It's a good differential for Brighton.
Definitely. I bought him in last week actually. He got me 9 points. Pretty good
Nice.
haul. I'm a fan of Trossard. When you watch him play, he has the energy. He's always running around, and I always wait for a time in the season where his fixtures and sort of form is good to get him in. I think there's a good case for Trossard. He had the most shots in Game Week 10, 5 shots.
Right.
And in the last 6 weeks, I was seeing in terms of total goal attempts, the first is Rafinha at 24, second is Salah at 22, and third is Trossard at 20. And this is over the last 6 game weeks. So he's getting the ball in the right places. He has an XG of 1.85, which I think is even higher than the likes of Bernardo Silva and some other City assets as well. And people tend not to own him. So he could be a really good.
The reason, the next question is, how long is Potter not going to start Mope? And when Mope comes, Trossard's value does go down because penalties go away.
Yeah.
But I doubt he's going to change the formation because it's been working for the last 2 game weeks, especially against Liverpool. I think he was on fire against Liverpool.
Trossard is not a seasoned player. You have to wait for that window.
Yeah.
It's like Dusan Tadic used to be like that. Clint Dempsey. These sort of players that they have these runs of 5-6 games. If you get them in and then get rid of them, and I think he's on the edge of one of those runs. There is a lot of other good options as well at the same price. But I just think his numbers are looking good now.
His price rose today in the morning, so he's 6.5 now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the fixtures are Villa. Obviously they're not in a good way. Leeds, West Ham is a tough one. Southampton away, Tottenham home, and I think he's looks to be this season might be the talisman. I'm sure. I think Mope was a talisman last season because he played most of the games. But looks to be because Potter seems to be going for that Europa League or that Conference League spot. I think he's well on his way, but it's too early.
They're doing well
to say.
They're doing well.
Yeah. But Tillemans, anyone? Leicester? Anybody still? Harvey Barnes. Anybody owned Harvey Barnes and saw his goal last game week?
Has to be somebody managing a dead team who picked him.
I had him at the start of the season. I think first few weeks, but he's long gone. I don't think Leicester is. They're too hot and cold the way they play.
Yeah.
It's difficult to pick one player from that.
Right. That's true.
I think the challenge with Leicester is whichever team or formation they start with, invariably, once he makes the change at halftime, the second team or the second formation tends to look better. We spoke earlier about their big 2 forwards, and that will be probably the best way for Leicester. But over the last 2 game weeks, whenever he started with Nacho and Vardy, they've not looked great, and whenever Nacho's subbed on, they've again started looking lively. So it's really tough to call. It's Vardy or none, basically, if you're looking at Leicester.
Correct.
I think so too. It's Vardy or none, really.
All right. So there are a couple of players who I'll quickly cover. Obviously, Jared Bowen is one. West Ham has been in some crazy form this season. They are right at number 3. Super game last week against Liverpool, 3-2. I think they haven't scored only in 1 game in this season, which was the Southampton goalless draw. This fellow has given returns in the last 9 games, in spite of having mixed set of fixtures. They were not easy fixtures. I think for the first 11 game weeks, their ticker ranking was somewhere close to 9th or 10th, if I'm not wrong. He has played. He has been the most consistent player in terms of the minutes played. 2.1% ownership. He's on corners as well. I think West Ham's fixtures are showing at the ticker rank is showing at 20 primarily because of City and Chelsea games. But if you look at the other 4 games, Wolves, Brighton, Burnley, Arsenal, people had issues. People had concerns about how they're going to really cope up in terms of the Europa League. I think they have topped the group, and I doubt. I don't think Bowen has played really too much in that. I think Benrahma has played almost all games there, so he's somehow being rested for Premier League. I think the game against Liverpool was the time when West Ham hasn't changed the team, for the 5th straight game. So this obviously that kind of makes you think that if what if they get rested and so on and so forth. But in terms of form, this guy is just on fire. I think I am looking to take out Rafinha. I think this guy is straight. Looks to be a no-brainer for me. Wolves away, Brighton, Burnley, and Arsenal. Yes, we are getting into the Christmas period. He might be drawn, but I guess that's the case with everyone. But he's hot on fire right now. You guys are looking at him 6.3. Does your team have space for 6.3, 6.5? Bhavin?
I don't think the price point is a challenge, Anuj. The bigger issue is whether you have Antonio or not, because I don't think you would want to double up on the attack with this fixture run. And I, for some reason, have stuck to Antonio, and I think I'll probably use my bench and bench him for the 2 tough games and stick to him because I have a lot of value tied up in him, and I am a couple of moves behind where I need to make up on some other places in the squad. So I'm probably looking to hold Antonio. That makes it difficult to get Robin in.
Yeah.
But if you are not a Antonio owner, I think you can't really go wrong with Bowen.
Yeah, so I don't have Antonio. So in West Ham, I need to get somebody from West Ham, and either it's him or it's Benrahma. I'm done with. Either it's him or it's Fornals. But he looks to be really impressive. Karan?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the other thing that also teams are doing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go for it, Karan.
No, I agree with Bhavin that if you are an Antonio owner, it may be challenging to have both. But I think when it comes to Jared Bowen, it's form over fixtures, and the way he's playing, you sort of have to get him in, even though they're playing City, Chelsea, and again, West Ham is looking like a team that can score against anyone, which is the only reason I'm holding on to Antonio. I mean, they scored 3 against Liverpool. They could nick a couple against City, Chelsea as well. So definitely
last 7 goals. Last 7 goals, no involvement for Antonio is must be frustrating for Antonio.
He's been dodging points left, right, center. Yeah.
He's done a good
and
job.
That is what I was about to come to, because if you look at teams who are now trying to defend against West Ham, what they're trying to do is mark Antonio out of the game. So if you saw the Liverpool game also, basically Van Dijk was with Antonio the entire game. And that's why Antonio couldn't do much in an attacking sense, but the rest of the attackers had a free run. So that's really been another reason why the likes of Bowen, Benrahma earlier, etc., have even Fornals to some extent have really had clear runs and great chances to score.
Right.
I think that's a really good point. Antonio is basically enabling these guys to get more points, which is hurting us.
Okay, the last midfielder I just want to speak about is Bernardo Silva. We've already spoken about Gundogan, and we don't. Foden needs no introduction. He's already at 15% ownership. I have not, owned him till now in this season. Like I said, I had KDB for 4 weeks, so it didn't click. But Bernardo Silva, just like Bowen, has played in terms of all the attacking assets. He has played most minutes. Maximum minutes, been lucky with injuries. He's been fit this season. Usually he's very injury prone. I think he has 8 goal involvements, if I'm not wrong, from 11 games. He did play as false 9 with KDB in the last game. And I think the only game where he was not involved was against Crystal Palace, which they lost at Etihad. But against Liverpool at Anfield, I think he was just on fire. I think he was a man of the match between both the teams. 6.3% owned in a City team. For people who do not own, obviously this call is only for people who do not own Foden or any other City attacking asset. I'm sure people do own defensive asset, but people who do not own any attacking asset, I think Bernardo Silva looks to be key. 7.1, 1.2 million or 1.1 million cheaper than Foden. He is their highest point scorer till now in all the attacking assets, amongst all the attacking assets. Fixtures are just, I think looks easy on paper, but they have lost to Crystal Palace as well, so nothing is easy. But I think they should, out of these 18 points, they should definitely be getting 15 points if they do not win against West Ham. So I might look at him. I don't have any City attacker. Do you guys have? You have City attacker, Karan?
I have Foden. I got him in quite a few weeks ago, so I've sort of got the bonus of having him in. I'm a big fan of Bernardo Silva as a footballer, as a player. I love watching him play and when he plays for City. But as a fantasy asset, sometimes it's quite frustrating because he's always tends to be the assister for the assister. He's just one pass ahead. He's extremely good. He breaks down teams. He put it to Jesus, squares it, but you don't see the points from him. So that's where I'm a little bit frustrated with him. But yeah, I can definitely see the value in getting him in.
And Bhavin, you also have Foden, right?
No, I don't have any City attackers. So we'll need to get one in sooner or later. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, with the fixture that they have, definitely.
Yeah.
So he's a differentiator for sure.
I think I completely agree with Karan in terms of FPL. I think you tend to prefer players who are more selfish, who tend to take more shots. Bernardo is definitely not that guy. He'll be a steady Eddie, so he'll keep getting minutes, and Pep loves him, of course. He keeps saying that he's the best support guy to have in the attack. Does a lot of work, tracks back as well. So you will get minutes, but you will not get the kind of explosive returns probably. And if that is what you're looking for, could be a good option to look at.
Yeah. All right, let's go to forwards. Karan, who's your pick here?
It's a tough one. I can't believe that Harry Kane has come down to the differential, but I think because of the fixtures that he has, and again Conte's record with Diego Costa at Chelsea, Lukaku at Inter, he does tend to bring the best out of these central strikers. So you can't doubt his quality. So I think out of these, it probably has to be Harry Kane, just because of the fixtures coming up right now, and the fact that he's 7.4% owned, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, the Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, Brighton, and Leicester. So the next six look quite.
Next six look good. Yeah.
Bhavin?
I think.
Sorry. Karan, who are your strikers right now?
Right now, I have Antonio. I still have Ronaldo, and my third one is Tony. So for me, it's an easy move. It probably would be an easy move for Ronaldo to Kane, but Ronaldo's playing Watford this week, so it's the kind of game you don't want to take him out. It's a tough call.
Right. Bhavin?
So I think agree with Karan in terms of the Kane pick for a forward with his track record, and to get him under a new manager with 7% ownership is definitely a temptation. The other advantage with Kane really over Son, while he is a little cheap, more expensive than Son, there's a 2 million gap, but none of us really have that spot in midfield to instantly be able to move to a 10 million attacker, midfielder rather. So, if you really get Kane, it's a great segue to be able to move to Ronaldo in game week 16, or even Lukaku when he gets fit. So in terms of structure, I think Kane is more easy to accommodate. A lot of people can go Vardy plus 1.5 million to fund Kane. So he's the easier one to get. If you're really looking at a 4-6 week stretch, you should consider if you're having to make a hit to get Son in, and in future might need another hit to get him out, Kane may be a more affordable and a more convenient one to get, attacker to get. Also, the fact remains that I don't think a lot of people are looking to take the captaincy away from Salah. So whichever attacker you pick, the impact that they will make in terms of your overall score is also limited. So probably all the more reason why you should look at the more easier to get attacker. The other two names that really stand out in this list for me are Jesus and Wood. I really kind of think Burnley is kind of the entire 10-week stretch or the 10 game week stretch that you're getting into is basically Burnley time, and Dyche will churn out 3 or 4 1-0 or 2-0s. So that's really another point to look at. And in terms of attack, even with Cornet coming in, he's basically looked to set the team up like a Wood +1. So it's either Cornet or Barnes or I'm missing the fourth attacker's name, Rodriguez. Somebody playing in support of Wood. So I think Wood is another decent option. A lot of us will have our patience tested from Tony if he blanks the next 2 weeks or so.
Absolutely.
He's an easy get. And I think Jesus is another very interesting one. It's a mystery why Mahrez doesn't play as much as he should. But Pep really likes Jesus in the right. And I think with this festive season coming in, the other good thing that happens is even in rotation-prone teams, it becomes relatively easier for you to pick the attacker. So, for example, if you have a midweek game and you have a decent enough bench to cope, you can pick Jesus in the hope that he'll get you 2 starts, and you can easily bench him for the third game. So, with the festive season coming in, that's another draw for a lot of Chelsea or City assets also to be considered, if you can have a strong bench, and which we all of us do have. So I really like the Jesus punt as well. Vardy is testing my patience. Not sure how long I'll be able to hold on to him.
No, I think
he may be another option.
Vardy, now you have to hold on to him, because if you see apart from the next fixture, Watford, Southampton, Aston Villa, Newcastle, that's the one. I got him for these 4 fixtures, not primarily the last fixture, which was Leeds. Yeah, Leeds. He actually got an assist, but obviously it was offside. Lookman was offside, but not the point, not the time to sell Vardy. I think it's time to sell Brentford if they do not score. They play Newcastle away. So if they do not score against Newcastle, which might be possible because it's Eddie Howe's first game.
They've been frustrating. They blanked against Norwich as well. I think people bought them in. A lot of players have got in. And they got a goal, but no points. The last 2 fixtures have been the easiest.
No, so
I think they do better against better teams. They play really well against top 6 teams, and they struggle when teams let them play.
And also, I think that's a fair point. And plus the injury to Raya. Oh, sorry, not the injury. The injury to Raya, because he's also kind of a playmaker for them. He and Tony kind of work very well together. Most of the goals which have come from, for Brentford this season, have been initiated by Raya. And I think the new goalkeeper, Fernandez, obviously is not at the same level as Raya. But so that is kind of maybe not the primary factor, but yes, it is some kind of a factor which is not really getting the goals in. But I don't really know why they're leaking goals. It's not the goalkeeper for sure. The defense has been the same. Yes, I think one Swedish guy is missing. I'm forgetting his name, but I think the rest of the team is still there. So there's something more wrong than just Raya's injury. So yeah, Brentford is. I think their fixtures are Newcastle, Everton, Tottenham, Leeds. So yeah, so it doesn't get. So Newcastle is the game. So if they don't give any returns to that'll be a problem for the managers. Pookie, anyone? Because has scored now. They got the first win, but is it still too expensive at 5.9? Or is just the team Norwich, irrespective of any manager coming in, they're going down?
I think even if they do go down, if they get a good manager, somebody like Lampard or somebody who likes to attack, their fixtures are pretty decent actually. So don't want to jump too early, especially on a team like Norwich. Happy to kind of wait it out and see. He could be another Tony exit option if you really look at it, in addition to Wood. So if you see a manager coming in who can pick them up, and if you see that bounce evident, it's a decent option to pick on.
Yeah, Southampton home, Wolves home, Newcastle away. So not easy, but not tough as well.
Yeah, I think their run gets better after Newcastle. I think they have a couple of easier fixtures post that.
After Newcastle is Tottenham and Man U.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay. My bad.
The next three is the one where
the next
they need to take points. Jimenez obviously is now below 10% because Wong is at 13%. Wolves last 2-3 game weeks haven't really been giving any attacking returns. I am a Wong owner, so he has given some kind of returns, but at that value, at that price, I think he's still value. Wolves, yes, they have got a couple of setbacks, but yes, they look to, I think, finish in top 8 to top 9 this season as well. So I'm going to hold on to him. Jimenez looks a little expensive to me at 7.7, considering the kind of role he's playing this season. I'm not sure who's on penalties. I don't think Wolves have got a penalty this season ever, so I'm not sure who's on the penalties as well. Maybe it's Moutinho, for all you know. So want to speak about Callum Wilson primarily because of Eddie Howe coming back, plus his stats. I think he has scored 4 goals at home, all at home. Now Eddie Howe and he has a relationship which obviously everybody knows. 2018-2019 Bournemouth season. It was the FPL Twitter alert used to be always assist Fraser and goal Wilson. I'm not sure what's the scene with Fraser, but definitely there are other players. Richie, there is ASM right there. Wilson, I think he was. So obviously they are not known, as in Eddie Howe is not known for his defense. I think in 2018-19 season they were 18th worst in defense. But out of the top 6, they in the tier 2, they were the best in attacking. So they had around 57, 58 goals. Wilson had around 17 to 18 or 16 to 18 goals with 4-5 assists as well. I know 7.3 is not really cheap for him, but considering the next 6, out of the next 6, considering the 4 fixtures that he has, 3 he has at home, Brentford, Norwich, and Burnley. I don't think it's a bad call, Wilson. Karan?
Yeah, agree. Definitely not a bad call. I think they're going to spend big in January. These guys are sort of playing for their places right now.
Yeah.
They have the historical connection. He's been in good form, so I think it's a good shout. Good fixtures as well. Arsenal has been good recently, but then you have Norwich, Burnley, and Leicester. So can easily see 3 goals across those 4 fixtures.
Yeah, and then he's like a proper talisman for them. So goals will come from him through him, and obviously ASM is there, but I'm sure
there's not much else in that team, so it's between these 2. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a good pick.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think he'll be a good option. Probably a good target after the Arsenal game because then you get 3 good fixtures out of 4. The really scary bit about him is his injury record. I mean, I can count on my hands the number of times I've bought him and he's gotten injured. So that's really something that scares me. And we have Antonio, who's also injury prone. So I don't want my front line to be flagged completely. That kind of worries me. But I think as a short-term punt, definitely worth looking at after the Arsenal fixture. Give Eddie Howe a couple of games, see how he sets them up. As you said, most likely will be attack-minded. So I think Norwich should be the fixture to target.
Yeah, and I think as Karan spoke about Trossard, that he's not a season keeper. Same is the case with Wilson. He will go on a run of this 5, 6, 7 goals, like how Wadi does, and how Wadi started, and now he has kept quiet, and now I'm sure he has another spurt of goals coming in. The same is the case with Wilson, and these are the fixtures which look really enticing. But for people who have Antonio and who are looking to get Kane / Ronaldo, then this guy will be a tough one. You will have to get the Southampton striker or somebody else. But people who do not have Antonio and who have a 6 and a 7 right now, can look at him. What transfers are you looking at, Karan, going forward? Are you also waiting for that Kane fixture, Ronaldo fixture swing?
I think so. I need to get rid of Sar first. He's been.
Oh, you have Sar. Okay.
Every week I postpone that transfer, so he's priority to go. Probably going to go for Sar to Gallagher. I would like to get Zaha, but I can't afford it. So most likely Sar to Gallagher is quite an easy switch. And I may look to maybe give Tony one more week and then change him as well.
You're done with the wildcard, right?
I've done with the wildcard. I used it, I think, game week 5 or 6, quite a while ago.
Right.
But yeah, what about you? Of course, waiting to see the injuries from the next week. Hopefully not too many.
Oh, of course.
And then make a call.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bhavin, what about you?
Yeah, so Anuj, I have not decided really. A lot of data and team news to kind of mull over. But if you look at the problem positions in the team, I think I have 4 defenders sorted. I still have Rudiger. Don't mind carrying him till I make my mind up on the Spurs fullback, which one to go for. Or Reece James and the double Chelsea wingbacks. So that's one problem position. Apart from that, really, I have already 8 starting attackers. I swapped Saint-Maximin for Tony. So want to kind of, having just gotten him, want to give him a few weeks and see how it goes. So Tony is really the problem position. I don't think I'm selling Antonio. I am probably for the moment not selling Vardy. If I do sell, be rest assured he'll haul, and you should hold on to him in that case.
Yeah.
The other real problem position is Rafinha, but that's again not a priority transfer. I can easily carry him or play an additional defender in Rafinha's place. I'm not sure if he'll really be available for game week 12 because the international break and the short turnaround will again kind of hit him. So I have enough in the bank for Rafinha to Jota switch. That's kind of one move which is tempting. But really it will come down to the last day and see how it goes.
No, absolutely. And I think even Martinez might not be available, the Villa goalkeeper. I think because same case, the South American case. So current Trossard might be on for a big haul again against Villa next game week.
Trossard, definitely. I think I got him in at the right time. Hopefully, he's also the kind of player that you can see nothing from, but he's fun to watch. And sometimes it's good to own the players that you enjoy watching them play. They can be frustrating, but he has a few goals in, I hope.
Yeah, that's true. All right, boys. Any last word? This differential series we will continue. We will keep changing the way we look at things. This was a criteria which Bhavin kind of started with, and then we'll keep changing. We'll keep looking at these watch lists, and every 4 to 5 game weeks, and especially now with the 10 game week stretch coming in 40 days, it will really, these differentials will be really key now going forward. So looking forward to more participation from Norway, from Bombay, from Singapore, everywhere. Thank you once again, guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks so much, Anuj. Cheers.
See you.
See you guys.
Bye.